All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. We will do our best to be concise and use the time that you're giving us as efficiently as possible. Just a couple housekeeping notes before we get started. We will be recording the demo and the webinar. So if you'd like to share that with any of your colleagues, please feel free to reach out to us and we can send you access to that. Also, if you have any questions that come up during the webinar, please feel free to type them in the Q&A section in Zoom, and my colleagues will feed them into me when we get to the questions portion following the live demonstration. So just to get started here, my name's Levi Bruce. I'm on the business development and sales team here at Scytl. With me is Frank Watts, who is also on the team and sits beside me and is taking over the meeting manager product as one of his core focuses. So his contact information will be provided at the end of the presentation should you have questions or like to see additional information. So if you're not familiar with who Scytl is, we are a leader in secure and efficient online voting globally and in the United States, as well as other election modernization solutions. We are technology and security leaders in the industry. We've conducted over 300,000 online voting events worldwide. Since we began about 20 years ago, we've secured about 43 international patents for security, and with 10 additional applications currently in place. We're also the first online voting solution to undergo a public hacker test from a security standpoint, which is great. We've been a trusted partner in North America since 2002, Europe since 2001, the Asia Pacific since 2006, and the UK just a year after in 2007. And recently we were acquired by Paragon Group to join their over 9,000 employees and a portfolio of $1.7 billion, providing solutions largely to the government space across the globe. We've got over 2 decades of best practices in the voting space, and across those 300,000 voting events I mentioned earlier, we see a 96% customer satisfaction rate, which we take great pride in. As I mentioned, we're a global organization. We operate in over 30 countries spanning 6 continents and have been doing so for a number of years now. And just to jump in to some of the partners that we're working with, as I mentioned, we are a global organization, and more recently are bringing some of these online voting products to the public and private sectors here in the United States. We've worked with political parties as well as federal credit unions. One, for example, is the Organization of American States Federal Credit Union, who's been a partner for online elections for a number of years, as well as organizations in Canada. If you have any questions about any of the specific partners that we're working with and want to see a little bit more detail, please feel free to reach out to us and we can provide you some additional information on some of our use cases. Scytl is also the most audited and certified online voting solution in the world. In addition to some of the industry standard certifications you'll see logos for on the right-hand panel, I won't read every one of the organizations we've worked with off below, but some of the key highlights would be the European Commission for the European Union, as well as the state of Florida here in the United States. We ran a UACABA voter pilot with the state of Florida a few years back, which went very well. And we're also very highly awarded for our election modernization solutions across the industry. Here's a list of a number of the awards that we've received over the recent years. I know the bulk of this webinar is to really jump into a live demo, so we'll get to that in just a moment. But wanted to give you a little bit of background on the organization before we did so. So the solution specifically that we're talking about today is called Meeting Manager. Meeting Manager is a tool that helps increase the efficiency and transparency of meetings and assemblies, allowing participants to vote on agenda items online, remotely, or using their mobile devices at in-person meetings. There's a few simple steps that kind of go into pulling together a meeting manager implementation. Meeting manager is best used during live voting or live meetings when agendas may change and move in real time. Maybe additional items come up. Um, Meeting Manager is perfectly suited for that use case. Configuring the agenda is kind of the first step in getting up and running with Meeting Manager. The easy to use platform ensures the efficient organization of those agenda items and the cadence of voting on said items. For voting in live meetings, members can vote immediately, either remotely or in person, as I mentioned, and the solution also supports weighted ballots and proxy voting and other more complex voting features that are requirements for a lot of the organizations we work with today. The solution also allows you to publish and review results in real time. Now, this is an option. I know sometimes organizations we work with would rather um, use more traditional manners for announcing their election results, but you do have the option to review and then publish your results after each election is closed during your live meeting. And we'll see what that looks like here in just a moment. So I'm going to tab over and jump into our live demonstration. Again, as if any questions come up, please feel free to post them in the Q&A section below, and we'll address them just after this demo. So I'm actually going to have Meeting Manager open in two different windows here today. One to show the voter's perspective and another to show the administrator's perspective. So we'll start with the voter's perspective here. So this is the landing page that users would land on when they first click to join the meeting. This would obviously be all of your organization's branding, the name of the meeting and organization, and any other key information you want to make sure that the voter has access to prior to entering the voting portal and accessing the agenda. There's a number of different ways to validate voters. Common methods are via text message, via email, or providing all voters with a unique password and identification number and allowing them to access in that manner. If you were to want to access via email validation, you would select this option, select email, and then input a unique user ID and the email address of the voter. And when you click access code, they would be sent a one-time voting code to their email that would work similar to two-factor authentication that you're probably familiar with banking apps and a number of apps today on the market. That code they would then bring back to this portal and input to access the agenda. For the sake of the demo today, I will be inputting a password via the password validation method and logging in this way. So I've now logged in as a voter. You will see that I can review the entire agenda. I can also click on my information to see which items I may or may not be able to or be authorized to vote on, whether or not I have participated in those items, and the weight of my voting in the event that that's relevant to your use case. You will see here that all the items are grayed out, meaning that they're not yet able to be voted on. So what we're going to do now is actually jump over to the administrators tab and open the first item. So I'm in the administrator's dashboard now. I can see some quick information about my election. I can see how it's being conducted with login remotely, the how long the election is still open. Obviously, this is a demo environment, so it's open for quite a while. But if there's a specific time that you want to allow the election to be open, it would show here, and the total number of participants. To open an agenda item, I would actually jump over to this agenda tab, and you'll see a number of different, you'll see this the same agenda item we saw from the voter's perspective, but you'll see a number of administrative options here. I can edit that item to provide more information or change the information that's being presented. I can add or edit notes that go along with that. And what the one we're looking for right now is actually to open the poll for voting. So if I click this, it will now open that poll in near real time. And then I can jump back over to the view as a voter, and you'll see this button has turned green. I didn't have to refresh my screen or anything. It just automatically turns green a couple seconds after the administrator opens that item. So as the voter, I'm now going to confirm my attendance by clicking this green button and selecting that I confirm my attendance, and then participate. The language, the wording on all of this can be changed and configured based on your election and your preferences. Um, but we typically use participate and then confirm after I confirm that I've made the correct selection. In this case, there's only one selection to make, so we can confirm that. And the system confirms that that is the selection I've made, and will take me back to the agenda, now saying you have already voted under the first item here. If I jump back over to the administration page now, an additional item I'll be able to show here is previewing the results. So if I click preview results, this is something that only administrators can see until these results are published, but I can actually review the vote, see how many people have voted and what they have voted for. Obviously, in the example we just showed, there's only one option, so this would just tell us we have one person confirmed to be in attendance as of right now for this meeting. You can also download or export results files and see some other information around the item that's been voted on, as such as percent participation and the total available votes to be cast for that item. A couple other things just to point out here in the administration panel real quick would be this link item. So if you're using Zoom or one of the other popular conferencing platforms, you can actually paste your Zoom link directly in this portal. And from the voter's perspective, that same button would show up right here with a direct link into your Zoom conference, so they can access all of their information in one place. Another important thing, an important feature about Meeting Manager is you're able to add agenda items on the fly. Maybe motions come up on the floor and need to be addressed by a committee or the entire group. You can add those agenda items in a few minutes. Generally, a lot of these fields would be pre-populated based on the rules of your election and your bylaws, but it allows you to quickly add new items to the agenda if that should come up. So we're going to jump back over to the voters view, and you'll see once again the item number 1 has not yet been open to vote. So at this point, the administrator would open that item and announce on either in the live meeting or through the conferencing platform that voting for item number 1 is now open. And users typically you would allow 90 seconds to 2 minutes for users to review and make their selections. Now, obviously that depends on what's being voted on, but it's completely configurable to your use case, your scenario, and can be unique by the agenda items. If there are some agenda items that are simple yay, nay votes versus more complex voting options, they can vary between those different items. Item number 1 here is asking to move that the minutes be taken as read, approved, and adopted as tabled. I'm going to vote in favor of that, and you'll see again, I click participate and confirm. And this time it's actually giving me a participation receipt, which as a voter, I can save to ensure that my vote has been counted in the ballot, in the digital ballot box. You can save this in a number of different ways. You can download it as a PDF. You can just copy and paste this number specifically, or you can print that information. After doing so, it takes me back to the agenda. And once again, you'll see I've already voted on item number 1. I can then come back as an administrator and again, preview the results for that item. And we'll see this time, there's 2 other options on this one. So we'll see there's been no votes cast for those and 1 vote cast in favor. Additional things to show in the administrative panel here is you can actually jump into the participants tab here and get a summary information of all the participants in the election here. You can see whether or not they have registered. And then for each ballot item, which are in the columns here, moving left to right, you can see a little bit of information. You can see if the user is authorized to participate in that agenda item, and you can see whether or not they have participated. So this is telling us, yes, they are authorized, but no, they have not yet participated in this agenda item for user number 1. There's a number of different filtering and sorting options. You can select to just look at, an individual item, or you can select all of those you would want to appear. It's a good way to manage and make sure people are participating, or see if anyone may be having any issues getting logged in or anything like that. You'll know because they have not confirmed their attendance yet, but you know they do intend to attend. And the last tab I would show here on the administrative panel is the delegation tab. So as I mentioned, we support proxy and weighted voting. This is a place where you would manage that. So you could manage and allow, in this scenario here, user 3 is delegating their vote to user number 2, and user number 2 then has a weight of 2 for their participation in that agenda item. One thing to mention about the administration of the meeting manager platform is Scytl is very hands-on. We want to, at least for the first couple elections, be there and provide a very white glove service to you and provide real-time support for your election, even going as far as to open and close agenda items based on communications directly from the elections administration team from our partners. So we'll work with you, be in real-time communication, and manage everything we just saw on the back end. If at some point you want to take those responsibilities over, we are more than happy to train the tech team from your organization and allow you to take the primary administration of your meetings and assemblies over, and allow us to kind of step back, still be there for level 3 support as technical issues come up, but let you kind of run with it and use the solution as you see fit from there. So that is the overview of the meeting manager product, both from a voter and from a administrative standpoint. If you want to get into a very deep dive on the solution, we're happy to do so. Frank, as I mentioned, will be leading this initiative from our team, and his contact information will be on the final slide of this presentation. So I'm going to jump back to the presentation now. And we'd like to open the floor to any questions. Clemence, have we had any questions come up so far?
No.
Okay. Well, definitely, if questions are to come up, please feel free to send them our way and we'll be happy to get back to you. Just to kind of summarize in some closing remarks here about Meeting Manager. Meeting Manager provides a platform to organize your meetings from anywhere in the world. It allows you to manage your agenda before and during your meetings, making changes in real time. The solution allows you to vote in complete security and transparency for each item on the agenda. The solution allows you to share the results of your votes in real time, should you choose to do that. The solution is easy to deploy and get up and running, typically taking a very short implementation period and only requiring a few bits of information from our partners, primarily a list of voters and their roles, and a final ballot are the two kind of main pieces of information, as well as obviously any branding or marketing materials you would want included as your homepage design and feel of the experience. And all of this is backed by our expert team with proven experience in the space, providing the solution globally to all kinds of organizations, and here in the United States to political parties, credit unions, co-ops, and associations. Thank you everyone for your time today. Here's Frank's contact information. If you have any additional feedback or questions you'd like answered, we'd be happy to get answers for you promptly. Thank you very much and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, Levi.